the Gators. Because whether you like them, woo, or you don't, they are the best thing, woo, in the football world today. Woo!
Welcome back to another season of Work 'em Silly, folks. I'm Champ Brantley, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Doug Dickey, Bad Take Peyton, and returning from the bowl season, we have Dr. Lou in our guest spot. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Gators, and going to piece things together. You're joining us in week 3. We just got done playing McNeese State, and handled them easily, but some of our compatriots are feeling a little bit more dubious than we did week 1. Things didn't look great in Utah, but there's a lot to improve on. How are you feeling, Doug?
I feel fine, and I think that all of you sad sacks need to stick a tampon up there and just relax a little bit. It's not so bad. Yes, we lost to Utah. Whatever. What do you want me to say? We didn't have enough wives.
I mean, it looked pretty fucking awful.
We didn't have enough wives when we went out there. That's
two-time Pac-12 champion Utah.
Yeah, and could win it again.
Yeah.
And they did. I know they didn't have Cam Rising, but the reality is, other than the blown play on the first, which really wasn't really blown, I don't think that's fair. 2 guys tripped each other. It's like they were going to make the tackle and stop the touchdown, and then decided to trip each other. But it's fine. We held them to like 200 yards after that. Offensive line looked bad. That's not great.
They definitely stunk.
But we got to greener pastures this past weekend. So why are we still complaining? Even if it is just an FCS team.
Peyton, how you feeling? How you feeling as we approach Tennessee coming into the swamp? How you feeling?
Well, I will say that this wasn't originally the first episode, but apparently we did so bad Champ wanted to delete everything from that, and this was going to be the season starter.
Yeah. Well, we went a full hour that time, and we were shooting for 25 minutes, so maybe we can get a little closer to the mark this time. Also, it wasn't anything you guys did wrong. It was just technical difficulties, but continue.
Yeah, I will say, just to put a bow on Utah, because I'm sure no one wants to hear about that anymore. I felt like in the pit of my stomach how I felt during the bowl game, and I actually was watching in the same spot on my couch. I need to switch that up during away games moving forward for better part of Gator Nation.
It's your fault.
But yeah, that game sucked. It was a rough start. We pieced it back together, especially the O-line and the defense against McNeese State. And for everyone that wants to say, oh, it's an overmatched opponent, it doesn't really matter. Well, we didn't look like that against overmatched opponents last year or the year before that. So, progress, whatever it is, it looks a little bit better. Let's just, continue to get better week by week.
All right, Dr. Lou, how are you feeling going into Tennessee week?
So I watched the McNeese game last night because there was too much other stuff going on Saturday to just watch the McNeese game. Mm-hmm. And pretty much what Peyton just said. I mean, we never looked like that last year. And I saw stuff last night that gave me some reason for optimism. The offensive line played well. Defense, I know it's McNeese, but the defense was all over the field.
Lights out, yeah.
Mertz threw the ball down the field, which was nice to see. And a lot of the kids got involved, which I think is what we got to do going forward.
Yeah, I think the running game got started too, which was something we really
Yeah,
I was begging for it during the Utah game, but we never saw it really. So it was good to see that Montreal got loose and ETN,
yeah,
and they kind of let each running back have their own couple drives, and you know, hopefully we can establish that this weekend versus Tennessee.
got to.
Yeah, or we're screwed. Um, the execution was a lot better as well. Obviously, I mean, a lot less pressure playing McNeese State, but in week one, that was the big red flag for me. Was oh, we can't line up and get set and hike the
Yeah,
ball. Especially on critical downs. There's penalties for pre-snap. That's just unacceptable. Um, Not to mention the special teams, which we have known has been an issue leading back to last year, and doesn't seem like much has been done about it. Which that's another red flag. But
you
there's a
know,
lot of season left.
we've had a good to great field goal kicker for so long that I almost don't even pay attention to that position anymore. I mean, what do y'all think
Yeah, I agree.
about?
It's a luxury for sure, but you know, when I saw that we had two kickers, that was immediate alarm in my head.
Yeah,
Like, okay, well, if you have two kickers, then one of them is the shitty kicker, and we have a shitty kicker.
I don't know if he's that bad, but I do know that you can't miss
He
30 yards.
misses.
Can't miss 30 yards on the road and win.
Yeah, the problem is our starter is the walk on, and the guy that's not taking the field goals is the original scholarship holder. Obviously, he's not a walk on anymore. He earned a scholarship, so we have two
Yeah,
scholarship kickers. But the guy that's supposed to be our best kicker, he is only doing kickoffs. So I'm guessing his accuracy is bad, and it's even
yeah.
worse. And he just has the leg. I'm hoping they get that figured out along the season.
Dude, you got to draft a kicker in the first round.
There's got to be another McPherson out there somewhere, right? That we can.
There must,
Student
and
tryouts.
it really feels like,
Yeah, there's got to be a Publix bagger out there somewhere.
Yeah,
yeah. No, this is giving me shades of Jim McElwain when he held open tryouts for kicker. Um, Yeah, no, it's such a shitty way to be shitty too, because you can't get any easy points.
right.
You just look discombobulated out there. The two number threes, what a mess. And it seems like if anybody was paying half-ass attention, we would have a scholarship kicker on that, could kick off and kick a field goal over 30 yards. But
It seemed like we learned to not field punts within the 10-yard line, but then they were just downing them on the 1 yard line. So it was like, it
yeah,
wasn't
not
helping.
Yeah,
not excellent, not
that
excellent.
their punter had a good but really lucky day. I mean, everything he put down there either backed up or went sideways, or I mean,
You
that
talk
thing.
about McNeese.
No, Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get a whole lot of breaks in that department.
The, it seemed like everything just went wrong. And I think it's really fascinating to like think about the psychology of young kids playing a game and like having a very rabid fan base. And in my personal opinion, like some of the people who are like, oh, he'll never be the coach, like Napier will never be the guy. He just it's not going to work. It's like I think what's really fascinating is like you go back, you watch the Swamp Kings comes out, the entire first episode, like for the most part, maybe the first half hour of it is like dedicated to talking about how Urban was terrified that he was going to lose his job in the first season because he didn't win like Steve Spurrier. He didn't run an offense like Steve Spurrier. Stuff wasn't working and all these different things. He got his break. He got Tim Tebow to come in. They were able to get things to work in year two. And now everybody's like, we got to get Urban back. It's like, it first it was, it's, you got to be like Steve Spurrier to win. And now it's you got to be like Urban to win, and there's more than one way to win a football game. So I think that like the calls for like Napier's head are a little bit silly. I hear all of the like alarm about the special teams and some of the other things, the maybe more vanilla routes that people
route
run.
tree.
I don't know enough about like plays and schemes and all those different things to have a huge opinion on that, but I just think that like a little bit more patience is warranted. I think we don't really understand what the team was like. And to segue into what I was talking about the psychology of like young guys playing a game, it felt like everything was going well in the Utah game, and then you've got 4th and 1, and there's a false start, and from that point on, it was like, oh man, we can't win. We don't know how to win. We don't know what to do, and you start doubting yourself a little bit, and then so you get, I think that they fought back. They kept playing. I don't think that there was a lot of quit necessarily. And then you get you control your opponent the way you're supposed to against McNeese, and maybe there's a little bit more confidence in the room, because one of the things that I noticed, and I don't want to say that I don't think I saw AR do this last year, but like when Mertz threw the interception against Utah, it was like they both immediately were like communicating, what do we have to do to get on the same page? And there's a lot of like, communication. We're not going to make excuses. I know that some of it is just speak, and it's time to show us to a degree, but they don't want to make excuses. They don't want people making excuses for them. It's just, we have to play better. We have to execute better. And I think it seems like that will continue to happen. So that's part of the reason why I have a positive feeling, because we start so low, you can only go up, and we did some things better in the Utah game than we did last year. We did a lot of things better than we did in the Utah game in week 2, regardless of the opponent. You're doing good things.
Yeah, I feel like the way we played week 1, we would have lost to McNeese State.
That's very possible.
There was just no getting out of our own way in week 1, so hell, maybe. But we better be on our P's and Q's with, now this weekend marks the start of SEC play, and, Tennessee ain't going to give you any softballs like they have in the past, it seems.
No, we have no. Based on what happened last year, we got no softballs. McNeese was the softball.
Yeah, and even Charlotte, they have Biff Poggi as their coach, who scares the hell out of me. He looks like the dad of your first girlfriend.
Where is the photo that you sent us?
Pretty much
coming from, because it says he's like the coach at a high school game.
Right, he was the coach of a high school. He was like a prolific high school coach, I guess, and then he got hired by Charlotte. But
he was at Michigan for a while.
Yep, he was at Michigan. He's had some. There's pictures of him in a tie. He was a tie guy as well at one point. Tie guy with a visor, crazy.
Ooh. Did he have to switch out his tie and stuff during halftime when he sweated through it?
For that dirtbag shirt that he wears? Yeah, I don't know. We'll have a full dossier on Biff Poggi next week, but first we got to get by fucking Tennessee, and I don't know how it's going to happen right now.
So how do we? What is your, all of you guys? What is your perceived path to victory for us? How do we win the game?
We're gonna have to run the ball down their throat. I mean, that's how I see it, and just try to win time of possession. If we can play our game and we stay on schedule, then I think we're going to be all right. If they do what Utah did and they take the top off and we're playing from behind the whole game, then it might be a long day for the Gators. But I don't think we're going to beat them through the air either. So yeah. If we can get our playmakers the ball on the ground, then I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I think it starts up front, especially with Kingsley Iguakin back at center, and hopefully he's actually 100%. I think he would have been ready for McNeese if McNeese was a bigger game, but I think the coaching staff just wanted to get Slaughter some more time at center and an extra week of rest for Kingsley. But if he's back, if he's 100%, we get the snapping. If he's going to be quote unquote QB of the offensive line, if that starts gelling together, if our run game starts getting better, the same run game that we had against McNeese, I doubt it because McNeese was always in a 3-3-5. They were just playing prevent defense the entire time, letting us run it at
Did
will.
they really? They
Yeah.
played a 3-3-5 against us?
A lot of the time they did, and which is why we had 378 yards of rushing offense against them.
I don't
So
know
I
sorry, go ahead, Pate. Continue.
go ahead, Doug. No, go ahead, Doug. I was finishing up.
I was just from the perspective of like running. Yes, I agree. We have to run the ball. I guess it's probably not attainable to think that we would run the ball the way we did against McNeese, but I think a major key, not just running the ball well, but getting the ball to Eugene Wilson was like, I remember from my seats atop the swamp, looking at Mrs. Dickey several times Saturday night and saying, get him the ball. Every time he gets the ball, I think
good things happen.
Yeah, he's got home run ability. So that is a big part of it. And then I think that I noticed that they were doubling Princely. McNeese was a couple times, but somebody, and they obviously they did get home a few times, but the defensive line has to get home and create a lot of pressure, and that'll be harder because Milton can run. But that I think those are the running the ball well, getting Eugene the ball in space, and then I do think that taking a couple shots downfield is necessary. Once you
just to get them off of us.
Yeah, to open up the running a little bit. I don't know.
You think there's a go on the tree this week?
I hope so.
Do you think they could draw a go route?
It seems like if you give Mertz enough time, he'll drop a dart on you. So might as well put one out there.
Yeah. I don't know how his deep ball is, but we'll see.
I've noticed that the only routes that they've run with Wilson are stuff real close to the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they're just holding that back for this coming Saturday.
I don't know. I feel like they would have busted it out versus Utah.
Quick slant.
Yeah. But I feel like they would have brought it out versus Utah.
Yeah, but losing to Utah and going crazy and nuts to win that game, what does Utah really mean to our season? I get you don't want to lose the game, but it's sort of like it's silly. Right. It would have been silly for them to play Cam Rising, him get blown up, and then they lose, and they also lose him. Like, in the scheme of our season, it doesn't really mean much because they're not.
I don't know about that because our last 5 games are going to be so hard that you have to front load your wins if you're the Gators. I mean, we can't be waiting for that 6th win to come versus Florida State, because they're probably going to kick our ass by the way things looked last weekend. Obviously a lot of ball to be played yet, but we are the back half of the schedule is brutal.
Yeah, that's a long way down.
They think about themselves enough. I don't need to think about them.
Oh my god, dude.
They think about themselves and ourselves enough.
Yeah.
Dr. Luge. Yeah.
Did you two guys see what their band did at halftime?
I saw the picture of the halftime thing. I thought that was totally ridiculous. I mean, I guess
the 45-24.
It's crazy. I've never seen such a thing.
Either have I. That is really. I don't know what word to use, but that is pretty classless.
Pathetic, dude. It's just that. It's the banner. We were ranked in 2020 banner, and then the storming of the field versus Florida. I mean, who are you guys? You won a national championship 10 years ago. Like you're acting like the program died or something.
Yeah. They're the new UCF. They want to move to the AAC and take over the spot of where UCF was because of how successful they were. That's the path they're going.
For real. They're about to hang a banner for beating LSU, who we play every year. Like, we expect to beat LSU, like that's that's just how it goes. I don't know. It seems.
That's a team that
And you said that they were onside kicking and going for it on
in the
fourth.
first half. Yeah,
that's
Oh.
insane.
there's an
on.
I don't know who, but if you Google like FSU onside kick, so they went for it on fourth down like 4 or 5 times. They onside kicked against Southern Miss. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Assholes.
wouldn't you keep that in the bag for, I don't know, Clemson?
You know what they were doing?
No.
That's Austin Armstrong's the place he was coaching last year. So they kind of wanted to stick it to our new defensive coordinator, saying, "Hey, the defense you had left is this bad that we're gonna just run it."
You think that's it?
I don't know. That's
Oh
the
my
way
God.
my horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got the tinfoil hat.
The clip of Mike Norvell like running into practice and him going like, "Hey guys, good morning," and like the media that's like standing off the side, like they don't immediately respond, and then they like slowly like start to say good morning. He's like, "You don't have to say it back. Don't worry about it." It's just like, I mean, good for them that they found each other.
He's a grad assistant.
It's crazy.
He's grad assistant
it's just
energy.
like, I don't know. But like I said, I don't like to think about them because they think about me and us enough. And I know why they do that, but I don't want to talk about them anymore because it's really a downer. They're just nasty.
Well,
All right, so
let's
let's go back. Let's go back to Tennessee.
Yeah.
I've
So-
heard Milton is having accuracy issues.
Is he?
He-
I mean,
he's no Hendon
historically,
Hooker.
yes, but this year,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this line is so close. Is because
He's the Milton
apparently
that we
he
know,
hasn't really.
not the hyped Milton.
All right, let's see here.
Yeah.
There was
Stealing
a guy,
from another
there's a guy that
podcast.
keeps sharing something on the On3 board. I guess I'm not supposed to say that because it's like you guys don't subscribe to it, but I don't really care. Something about like different where the SEC quarterbacks rank each week, and like Mertz was 9th and Milton was 12th the first week and 13th the second week in like
Murder Mertz.
So Milton is struggling.
So I haven't watched 1 second of Tennessee this year because they played Virginia and whoever.
They didn't win very convincingly last week. I think it was like 30-14 or something like that.
Against,
Austin P.
against Austin P.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess Austin Peay's coach was like, we went into a place that's like a swamp-like atmosphere and took the fight to them or something like that in there. I mean, they still lost, so, but he was kind of like, I guess the coach of Austin Peay was not impressed. But there was one guy on Twitter, one Tennessee guy that was like, if Florida gets blown out by Tennessee, it's because Josh Heupel is an expert at hiding what he's doing, and this whole bad play has been on purpose. And I was like,
Yeah.
welcome
Yeah,
to...
you don't want to put out good tape.
Yeah.
That sounds like Tennessee talk from like decades ago, you know?
Yeah.
We're good. We're just not showing it.
Yeah, in regards to Milton, apparently everyone's calling him like the Anthony Richardson of this year, that he can throw a football 80, 90 yards and all this stuff. And apparently through the year against man defense, he has a 30% completion. And
Against man?
Against man defense, he's only completing 30%.
Armstrong's going to set the dogs on him.
So we just lock up man and then send home Princely, Pyburn, anyone else on the defensive line.
I think so too.
Pressure.
Pyburn hasn't been super involved, has he?
Not in regards of stats.
Yeah. The secondary hasn't been spectacular, but I guess they're improved. We finally don't have fucking Trey Dean back there.
And Bernie and yeah.
Yeah, our
Dean
linebacker play has been great. I've been impressed with Scooby. I mean, he's not a natural linebacker, but he's been playing like the linebacker spy, where you're usually like spying the QB or
he's like a big old nickel.
Yeah, he's been doing good in coverage. And then obviously Shamar James has been one of the best linebackers we've had since. I don't even know.
Maybe David Reese.
Who's the one we had after David Reese? Who's the great run stopper?
I don't
There's
remember.
Bernard?
There's a younger guy that had.
I think
Yeah.
other than the first play of the year, I think the secondary's done okay. I mean they're all freshmen, sophomores. That's one of the parts of the team I'm most encouraged about.
That it's young. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean they're breaking up passes. They're there. It's not like they're getting toasted all the time.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
surprised how little we're getting out of the transfers. Like, I know they want to play a lot of the young freshmen, especially against McNeese. So it's going to be the recruiting class people that are getting the most playing time. But I don't think I've heard a lot from Taraja or Moten. Caleb Banks. I didn't see any really great play out of him. But
Yeah.
it seems like the young guys are really stepping up.
Yeah, that you're right. That is encouraging, and with the class coming in, I mean, that almost is. I mean, Doug alluded to it earlier about people ready to fire Billy and wanting to bring Urban back, which might be fun, but let's hold off for a little bit. But the class that he has is keeping him in Gainesville until we see it,
Absolutely.
So I think that unless we win 3 games this year and we lose Lagway, I don't really see Billy going anywhere. And next year, I guess, will be the true kind of test of what we have with him.
Have you seen
Especially since
Lagway's
I imagine Mertz will be back next year unless he really stinks it up.
Or lights it up.
He'll be back.
He's got another year after this year.
Pretty sure.
I didn't know that. I thought he'd been at Wisconsin for like 4 or 5 years.
Everybody's got the
COVID,
COVID, right. So, what did y'all think of Max Brown in the limited time that he saw the field?
I stopped watching when he came in.
He looked okay. Mertz is still head and toes the number one guy. It's been that apparent since spring practice, fall practice. Brown, he had some nice balls, some, redshirt freshman mistakes.
He has nice balls.
So
great balls on that kid.
Great balls on that kid.
Okay.
Nice and polished.
Yeah.
It'll be good competition between him and Lagway.
I hope so.
Comes in.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I think as far as this weekend goes, though, knowing basically nothing about Tennessee, I like our odds. I think that we're going to be talented enough to win for sure. Now, if our players can stay on sides and they understand, what a snap count is, that's up to the coaches, and hopefully they've fixed that by now. They looked all right doing it last week, but
playing at home will help that a ton. I would not feel very confident
kind of
playing in Neyland. There's one thing that worries me a little bit about playing Kentucky is even though it's a small stadium, it gets pretty loud there. So I don't want a repeat of the whatever year it was that the offensive line had like 7 false starts against Kentucky. That would suck. So hopefully we clean those.
That was Mullins last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we're also their Super Bowl, so they packed that stadium for that game.
It's like the biggest game for them every year. They would lie. They would say, "No, we don't care. We've been."
I agree.
True, you're right.
We got to deal with Biff before we go to fucking Kroger. All right.
They fought Maryland too, so
they did tooth and nail.
I'd like to think
tooth
we're better than Maryland.
Yeah, but they
got
Maryland,
little Tua there, don't they?
Yeah, Maryland ended up handling it. It was like 14. I think they jumped out to an early 14-point lead, and then they didn't score the rest of the game. So
it's a little scary, but
I think we'll be fine. But yeah, it is a little scary. Biff scares me, man. I have nightmares about that guy.
I have one last thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tennessee is that we're all afraid of their downfield passing game. I think we got to stop the run. I think we got to, because if they can do both, I think we're dead meat. But if we can stop the run, then we can just send them, and then I think we got a chance. But if they can, if I mean, I pulled up their stats from their last 2 games. I mean, it's Virginia and Austin Peay, and Virginia's bad,
horrible.
But I mean, they've gone over 250 on the ground in the last 2 games, and if they do that, we won't be able to stop them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said earlier, if we can own the time of possession, then I think we're going to be all right. But yeah, let's wrap up real quick. Let's do some final score guesses. I'll go first. I think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be kind of like your average game, probably about 50 points total. So I'll go 21-28 Gators. Around there. What do you think, Doug?
Well, I'm happy to report that I have been sending letters to Psycho Billy Napier. And for those of you who do not know,
Yeah. We haven't even talked about him. Yeah.
Psycho Billy Napier was the head coach of the Florida Gators last year against Tennessee, and I haven't gotten a letter back yet, but I haven't gotten any of them, returned with the return to sender note on them. So I know he's gotten them. I think he's going to show up. I think we're going to take the top off a couple times. That's going to be sick because Mertz can throw darts, I think, at up to 50 yards, probably not further than that. And then I think Austin Armstrong's defense is going to wreak a little bit of havoc on the old Volunteers, and I'm going to say Gators win 31-24.
31-24. All right, what do you got, Peyton?
So I guess we now found out who was sending mail to Jim McElwain back in the day.
Yeah, the death threats.
Yeah, it was
yeah, Psycho Billy, we've seen him actually 2 days. One day during the season, during the Tennessee game, but then also again during the recruiting trail, that one day that we got 8 players in a single day. And we need to see more of Psycho Billy. That's when his inner Urban Meyer comes out, it seems like.
Don't suppress the
I don't know how sustainable that is. Yep. So I think what's so much different about last year to this year is both of our offenses were a lot better, and both of the defenses on the team were a lot worse.
Yeah.
Where this year, I think our defense stacks up against their offense pretty nicely, but I also think their defense stacks up against our offense pretty nicely. So I could see a lower scoring game. I'm going to say 21 Florida, 18 Tennessee.
Cool. All right, bring us home, Dr. Lou.
In true Tennessee, Florida tradition, we win in the last 30 seconds of the game, 30-27.
30-27. I love that.
On a crazy play.
Yep. It's gonna be a nickname game, you think?
I hope so.
All right.
Night game, the swamp. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Are you going, by the way?
No.
Okay.
I am not.
Well, we'll all be there. It's gonna be a great night in the swamp, and it's gonna be electric. It's gonna be one of those games, I hope.
I hope so, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you all there. Go Gators and work 'em silly. Woo!